Hello, Solomon Mars here. This is the second video. Let's see. I don't remember where I left off. I actually had to recharge the battery on this thing. Let's see. Oh, I guess I'll talk. I think I talked about this in the last video, but I'll talk a little bit more. You can see like some of these, some of the pages. Like there's an actual cover that I did. Well, I didn't do. My friend AJ did it. I inked it. He penciled it, and he colored it. He has excellent. He's always had excellent colors. But you can see, like, I don't know if you can see the tape on the along the edges. See if I can find an example. I think I showed some examples already of this, but here you can see, like, I would print on 8.5 by 11. I'd reduce the 11 by 17 pages, put them onto 8.5 by 11, tape them together, you know, at the seams. I'd measure so that they were centered properly on an 11 by 17 sheet, and then I would I'd run this through the copier. I'd run this through the copier, and I would end up with, let's see if I can find an example. That's what I was looking for, mostly. Oh man, I don't think I'm gonna find one. That's incredible. That's incredible. Uh-oh. Well, you know what? Screw it. What I would end up with is actually one of, oh goodness, if I can move all this crap out of the way. Come on, I can move all this box for this series. Here we go. So what I would end up with in the end, finished comic. I don't know why this one's polybagged. I honestly don't know. I don't know the last time I polybagged a comic book. Oh my goodness. That's kind of weird. But yeah, you have a full-fledged, you know, comic book in the end. You know, it's kind of awesome. It's kind of fun, you know. I mean, that's what I spent my time doing. Making comics. For some reason that one won't cooperate. Not every single book came out right. I mean, this one was really rough. Depending on what time I got to the printer, determined how good it was. You know, I mean, some of the copy machines, you know, had been used all day and they hadn't changed the toner and stuff, so I would catch them on a bad day, and you know, some stuff just didn't come out right. You know, it's just really bad. It looks really bad. But I really wanted to make comics, so I made comics. You know, I really, really, really wanted to make these comics. So that's what I did. I made comics. And fun. This is the final product. You know, they go from something like this. You know, this stack here. This stack is just tons and tons. These are all what is that? Bristol cardstock. I don't know what stock that is. I don't know. You know. Oops. Whoa. Blue line pages. You know. Oh, wow. Those are hand lettered. That was issue 3, so these are hand lettered. You know, blue line, and look at that. $17.50 for a pack of 22 sheets, you know, and it was kind of you know, you had really one shot at it. Really, it's very expensive to, you know, to make the comics. You know, before I learned, you know, to just buy a pack of 11 by 17 paper, but it would go from this, you know, this to that. It's really kind of amazing seeing that whole process, you know, in person, and knowing that I was kind of part of this awesome tradition, you know, not just reading comics, but making them too, and, you know, kind of making them for other people. It was fun. It was really fun because I wasn't alone doing it, and that's part of the fun part about it was I had friends that also, you know, they were making comics and self-publishing too, and I mean, that's my thing, you know, I would say, you know, find other people if you're gonna self-publish and stuff. You know, definitely find other people. Oh look, there's that page I was actually just showing, the big page. Find other people, you know, join a group of people and self-publish together and go to conventions together and things like that. This is great experience, you know, when you're out there with other people and the energy, you know, and it kind of, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm over here having flashbacks as I'm looking through this stuff. I'm like remembering every single convention I ever went to, or at least the ones I had a table at, because I've attended as a, you know, on the floor a lot of conventions. Oh, but this is it though. This is the actual book, you know, and these are different issues. This is the one that I gave out at DragonCon 99 at 1999, DragonCon for free. This is one that I gave away for free. It's a little mini issue, nothing serious. It's, you know, not serious. It's a little short story. I think I showed the actual pages in the first video. I think I did. Hold on, let me see if I can actually show these the reduced version. You know, you can see, like, I don't know, I really enjoyed this book. It has a lot of energy to a lot of the artwork. There's a lot going on in here. I don't know, I wish I could have sustained this kind of energy for the book, but for the entire series, but I don't know, there was something about it, you know, I couldn't. I guess because, I mean, I was constantly going back and forth between my job, and then, you know, nothing stays the same forever, you know, so the artwork was evolving, the style changed. I mean, look at the style, look at the characters. They're really lean, and their limbs are really elongated and skinnier than they are now. And I eventually went back to my cartoony style. Ooh, that's a nice phone number. I don't know whose number that is. Weird. This is actually this is the original first copy of this book that I had. I had this printed at what at the time was called Kinko's, and they got bought out, and I think they're FedEx now. But I learned a lesson. Like one of the first lessons I learned ever was if you're gonna self-publish this way, you know, you're gonna want to do it yourself. I had the people behind the counter print up the book for me, and I even gave them an actual professional, I guess, comic book to use as an example of, you know, size ratio and everything, and they still got it wrong. They got it wrong, and that's the thing. If you're gonna have someone behind the counter do it, which is gonna be a lot. It's going to be more expensive than if you did it on your own. But if you're going to have them behind the counter do it, then make sure that it's someone that understands comic books, that's familiar with comic books, familiar with comic book format, you know, and that was the problem. They weren't. These guys were not. And so we have this huge book that is, it's an 8 by 10 book. You can, and I also learned another lesson. I learned that non-photo blue shows up on the color copy. I didn't know at the time. This was when my first exposure to using color copiers, and I assumed that non-photo blue just kind of, there was something magical about it that would disappear, but no, it's just blue. it's supposed to disappear for black and whites, not for color. But I was very unhappy. But this is what kind of led to me deciding. I decided to take it in my own hands. At this point, I decided to that when they got this wrong, I was like, I have to take this into my own hands. You can actually see, like, look, this version is completely different than the other one. Oh man, I don't know where the other one is. When I went and did it myself later on, all of this has gray tone in it. All of this is gray tone. Oh, here. Okay, I can show it. Oops, I don't know where I was pointing at. Oh, come on. Oh, see? Yeah. That gray tone. I think it added something to it. It definitely makes it pop. At the time, I was afraid of using the color black. I was really afraid of using it. I mean, because I was afraid that it was going to destroy all the illustration work I was doing, instead of knowing that, realizing that it would enhance it. But this particular turnout, this print, really helped me decide I needed to take things into my own hand in order to get it done the way that I wanted it done. And I mean, hey, thank you to the Kinko's and those guys, doing that, and yay. I don't know if I don't know if I thanked them. I don't know if I talked about this in the first video. I feel really dumb for not looking at that video to see what I talked about. Anyways, there's just tons of these. There's only 16 issues, but I have multiple copies because this box was actually the box. This is my my story box. Like, oh, I guess I can show. I'll show before I talk about the next version of the book. Like, all those folders that were in here are actually the story. I took 6 months while I was looking for a new job. The company that I used to work for closed down. I don't know, it's just a department store, but it closed down. It was weird. I've never been with a company that I was there when they started the business, and I was there when the business ended. It was really weird. But so I got unemployment, and while I looked for a new job, I sat and I took 6 months, and I was writing the entire story, because I was doing that thing that artists do, we all do, and it's a trap, but where we don't think the story is good enough, we don't think our work is good enough, we don't think the designs are good enough. We look at other artists, and we look at what they're doing, and we want to be there, and we're not there, and we're trying to get there. And the thing you have to realize is you will get there. It just takes time. They're there because, well, of really just time and progression, of the consistency of work. They're constantly working, constantly drawing, constantly thinking, constantly creating. So yes, eventually they got to that point, but it's just a matter of time. It really is. And so I kept redoing the story, and I kept redoing it and redoing it and redoing it. And this is the point when I stopped. This is actually the point when I stopped. And I feel like I might have actually talked about this already, but if I did, I'm sorry. But I did these over the course of like 6 months or so. And they have, like, it's all the story. Occasionally I have little illustrations in it, and I did them on the back of like thumbnails, blown up thumbnails. Weird. It's got story bits in it, and this is really what led to me the system that I use now, where I will draw stuff out, ideas. Any idea that pops in my head, I'll write it, I'll draw it, and then I'll file it away. This is where that came from. This is where that system came from. Those 6 months that I spent working on this, and it's like, I think this series in total is going to be, as a comic book, it's 85 issues over 7 years. it would take 7 years. This is like, you know, me doing it as a monthly series, monthly issues kind of thing. And you know, and that's all based on, you know, just the way that I set it up initially. But tons and tons of these. But what came out of this was I realized where I want it to be with the story and the work, and I started focusing a little bit more, and I ended up, I don't know, oops, there's more issues with guest covers, friends doing guest covers, you know, I went through a couple of different phases in the artwork. I went from just using regular pens to brush. I started inking with brushes. It was very crazy, but fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was fun, and I really stopped being afraid to use the color black. I started using it to my advantage, like this lighting. I love this inside of a warehouse, and I'm using the outside light to show, you know, these characters and stuff. I should have colored them in completely. I don't know why I didn't. That's weird. But yeah. It eventually though led to the second. Well, not really the second, but this. Well, yeah, the second. Once I was self-publishing version of this book, which is this one, where I went back to the style I had when I was in high school, which is more cartoony, more fun, a little bit more graphic, you know. By this point I had learned a lot, you know, and I was inking more and playing around with line weights, things like that. But these were the ones that around the time when I was trying to get picked up by a company. I was trying to get national distribution. Really, that's what I was doing. I wanted national distribution because after years of self-publishing, after years of this, it just became really, really, really difficult to not only produce all of these books, but to carry them around and to expose the story to enough people. But you know, working over those 6 months on this is kind of helped me focus the story anyways, because you know the story, like I think I mentioned that, you know, I didn't feel like the story was really good enough at the time, and I needed to really focus and get it right. And I mean, there are a lot of things I liked about the story and the artwork and everything back then. I mean, I love this picture. It's great, you know. Oops. You know, I love how cartoony the characters are. These are two of the main characters. This is Luna and this is Kim. Her own name is M.I. Kim. I love these guys. This is like the antithesis of Jeff from Goblin. Luna is actually the opposite, you know, like he's yeah, you can imagine what he's like, you know. He's self-deprecating. He's this wonderful character, but he's terrible. He's just so self-deprecating. But anyways, but one of the things, I mean, this is one of the things that, you know, this kind of was one of the points of evolution, because as a creator, and not just for the series, but for me as a comics creator, as an artist, everything, because I was getting a lot of feedback from different companies at the time, because, you know, I was sitting it around and I was talking to the guys from Image for a while, talking to, I think I talked more with the guys from Antarctic Press than anything, going back and forth. Every time I would, you know, do something, I would, you know, update them. I would send them out some more of my work and everything, and they, you know, critique and send back stuff, and you know, constant feedback. I do remember at the time Eric Larson was over Image, and he told me in a letter, he was telling me about my work and the writing. He was saying the writing that I was doing, it was so descriptive, like the way I would describe the lands and the landscapes and the worlds that I had the characters in. I made it seem so vast and so lush and so wonderful, and then inside of the books you didn't get that same sense. You know, the backgrounds were empty and you didn't see anything. So this was one of the steps towards that was a response to that. You know, I realized that, yeah, he was right. You know, the worlds that I was describing, the worlds that were in my head, it was the worlds that were in my head were not coming out on the page. And I mean, this is a prime example of that. Look how empty this is. Even though this was a step, me stepping forward in the direction, you know, I started trying to fill out stuff a little bit more, without making it too busy. But I definitely wanted the world to seem alive. And I remember one of the other critiques, one of the problems I think the guys at Antarctic Press, the guys at Antarctic Press had was, in a letter, one of the guys said the problem was that they didn't know how to market me. They didn't know how to market my style, my work. They didn't know where I fit in the sort of the grand scheme of comics, and it didn't really make sense. I don't know. I thought, well, you know, hey, it's comics, you know, that's where it fits in. You know, new comic, you know, something not really that new. It's not that different. I see plenty of stuff like it, but even at the time. But I guess they just didn't think it was necessarily marketable. I don't know. But you know, that kind of stuff, you know, eventually led to me just kind of slowly coming to a halt, you know, as far as wanting to make comics. It's kind of sad, but you know, you can't really extinguish something that is a part of you. So I mean, eventually what happened was I came back to, I did a couple of issues like this. You know, I self-published a couple of issues in this fashion, and I started playing with Photoshop, and I started really getting, I guess, you know, not necessarily good, but good enough. And I really started liking the way that it was coming out. And again, I went back and started over. And with this issue actually starts a couple of issues in, even though it's listed as issue 1, it's actually a couple of issues into the story. And instead I decided to go back to the beginning of the series after a name change, a slight name change, and it became The Legend of H.B. Shojin. I decided that it shouldn't be earthly because it's not based on Earth, and I do that with a lot of my series. I try to, you know, keep a lot of references that are earthbound out of the stories, and so I changed the name, sort of kept the same essence, but I went full color. I took some of those issues and then I went forward from them, and I went full color, and I had it printed up at lulu.com, and this was one of the last. This is like, yeah, I love this image. This image here, just, it made me so happy to see this. But yeah, I don't know. I got a little. I was still learning Photoshop, so a lot of this is really, really ugly. A lot of the presets are being used. I didn't have a Wacom tablet at the time, so I was coloring with a mouse, and you can kind of tell. But it was fun. It was fun. It definitely helped move me forward into a direction. But the thing about it is starting over can be a trap sometimes. I personally believe in just pushing forward, going forward. You know, yes, sometimes, you know, the story, you know, it may not be going in the direction you want. If it's not going in the direction you want, then change it. It's your story. But my warning is to artists, to creators, is be careful about starting a story over. you know, because, you know, or at least starting a story over and your reasoning being it's not good enough. It's not where I want it to be, because it's never going to get there, really. It's never really going to get there because you're always going to get better. You're constantly going to be getting better. You're going to be progressing as an artist. So, I mean, from that point to this point to this point, that's all I was thinking was, it's not good enough. It's not where I want it to be. It's not good enough. But, I mean, somebody thought it was good enough. People were buying it. So, it was good enough. It wasn't where I am now. And it's not worth starting over and over and over. Because if you keep starting over and over and over again and again and again, you're never going to get that. You're never going to get it complete. I never completed this series, and I do kind of regret. I would be almost finished with the series if I hadn't stopped. I stopped. I got 6 issues into this version, the full color version, and I stopped. Now, granted, I stopped because I went to school, but I should have kept doing it while I was in school, but I stopped. And, I mean, if you stop, it's just... you may or may not regret it. I slightly regret it because I would have been pretty close to the end of this story, and I really love this story. It's a pretty epic story. It's on par with Goblin. Goblin and HBS are sisters. They're sister stories. They're not, you know, same. They're not the same universe, but they came from the same seed, the same core idea. Broke off, it paired off into two different stories. Even though this one came earlier than Goblin, once this story comes out, you'll definitely see some similarities. There are some similarities, not necessarily with the characters, but with the way that certain things play out, and it's all on purpose. But I mean, that's kind of why I'm determined to finish Goblin, because I want to finish something. I didn't finish this series, and I do kind of regret it. I started over, and I shouldn't have started over, and I just feel like I'm going to finish Goblin. I'm going to get it done, because it's a story that I want to tell. And that's the thing. I mean, if it's a story that you really want to tell it. Get it done. You know, finish it. You know, and if it changes, if it morphs and changes, even if the story changes, not just the characters and the design, but if the story itself changes, so be it. You know, as long as it's good and it's true, you know, and you're being true to yourself, then it should stay good. People will still enjoy it, and if you enjoy it, then other people will too. This is my definitive guide. This is the definitive guide. I love definitive guides. I always make them for every series I do, and this one is one I sold. Has like everything from fruit, the different species on the planet, how the characters' powers work, you know, the different. It's crazy. Wow, I love this. Different things about like different mechs. There's mecha in it. How the different types work. There's one that they wear directly on their body, you know, like a close armor, and then there's one that they ride in, like a car. You know, and there's different vehicles and weapons and all sorts of stuff in here. How the monetary system works. Oh my goodness. You know, like it's equivalent in our world. I guess U.S. dollars. Wow. It's just tons of stuff. How different technologies work in this. I mean, this is how my brain works. This is how my brain works. And this, two of the main characters, and how, you know, things about little details about them. But this is how my brain works, and this is why I have to buckle down, and this is why I share this kind of stuff, is because I know that I'm not alone in just being, you know, just sporadic like this and just constantly creating. This is artist. I don't know any artists that aren't plagued by just the need to get every single idea out. And I mean, save some of them, you have an entire lifetime, a career of entertaining people, sharing stories, telling stories, you know, being creative. You have an entire lifetime, and you know, don't spend all of your time now retooling a story over and over until it's perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion. Just tell the story and have fun. You should have fun with it and just tell that story. And you know, it's a lesson that I had to learn over time, but it's a lesson that's worth learning for some of us, I guess. It was worth learning for me, because I've shared it with other people, which is what I'm doing now. I'm sharing it now, and it's been worth sharing it with other people in the past, you know, and I've seen it, you know, get people to, you know, where they've just gone ahead and just jumped right into their story, and it's oh wow, look at all this stuff. Oh my goodness, there it is, issue 16. That's the last one that I did, and you can see, like, I made the conscious decision. I remember sitting at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was staring at this cover the entire weekend, and I made the decision right then and there that this is the style. I was going to go back to my old style, and make the comics like this. And I remember I made that decision, and I went, oh man, people are going to be upset if suddenly the art in this book changes from looking like this, you know, characters looking like that, to looking like this. And I was so concerned with people not liking the style change that I went back, you know, and started over again, you know. And you can't do that, you know. You have to just tell the story. Just tell your story. People are gonna, if people are enjoying the story up to that point, you know, yeah, some people may, you know, walk away from the story, but some may join, you know, because of the style change, where they didn't like the style before and then now they like the new style, you know. Or people may stay because, you know, they just are invested in the story. They're invested in the characters. They're invested in you. It's you know, sometimes it's usually not superficial. It's not on the surface. It's something about, you know, being human. You know, it's more than just this. And like I said, this was something that I had to learn. I had to learn this slowly over time. But that's why I make these videos, and why I want to make more videos and more comprehensive videos, and really talk to other artists, and even do like panels at conventions, because I want to share my experiences and the things that I've learned, you know, different things about like lettering and like hand lettering. I've moved from hand lettering to you know, lettering in the computer, and you know, all the different ways and the different reasons. I mean, part of the reason why I changed from using blue line is to using, I mean, from non-photo blue to carmine red. You know, it's mostly because when I was in school learning animation, I accidentally found out that when using Photoshop, you can drop the color red off of a black and white page. You know, when you transfer this page to, you know, black and white or grayscale, you can drop the color red out easier than you can blue. Blue sometimes registers as graphite. It looks like graphite to a scanner or to a computer, like a program like Photoshop. And so, you know, yeah. But wow, I'm glad I saw this. I didn't think I had a copy of this with the cover attached to it. I didn't even trim it. This was the very last one that I had. I remember this was the last one, and I wasn't willing to sell this because I didn't want to sell it. So I hid it in this briefcase that's over here. This suitcase. That's the suitcase that I used to take to conventions. Anyways, I've been, you know, rambling for far too long, and I don't know. So this is my pile of artwork. This is how many years is that? I don't even know how many years that is. I'm bad at math. You know, 1998 to 2006. That's what all this is. And it was an experience. It was fun. You know, I definitely encourage everybody that wants to do comics self-publish, whether you're using an on-demand, you know, an on-demand service, a print-on-demand service, or you're going and using a copier and printing them up yourself, or, you know, I mean, anything, or, you know, using a real hardcore printing service where you get, you know, like 1,000 copies, you know, of one issue or something, you know, I mean, go for it, you know, go for it. Well, and then the timer on this thing is in the red now, so I guess I have to sign off of this video.